Hey everyone, I'm a big fan of Pinnacle's Deadlands Lost Colonies setting book. And now there is a new source book for that setting called Maw of Oblivion. And it adds some pretty interesting stuff.
So roll, it's a savage world, strange as a wind roar, it's a savage world.
Hey everyone, it's Carl with Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff. We'd love your support, contact, check out the guidebooks we have and interesting stuff, as well as we have a new podcast called Mastering the RPG. So check that out. That'd be cool. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about a new source book from Pinnacle for the Deadlands Lost Colonies setting. For us who are fans, and I am a fan, I'm actually running the plot point campaign right now from the original source book with my own special way of doing it, which I have another video that talks about how I run plot point campaigns, but I am running that storyline to the best of my ability, and it's really kind of fun. The original source book focused more on Banshee, the places there, the atlas, creatures, and the plot point takes mostly place on Banshee. So that is the focus of the core book. All these other areas out in space, like the tunnel station, like where the X4 turned out and stuff like that, are secondary to the discussion, but are still there for you to explore. This new source book sends you out into the belt, which is a asteroid belt where there's miners and there's some colonies there, kind of eking out a living by mining and selling their goods to others. Now, this source book takes you out into the belt, adds a bunch of things that help you out to play out in that area. First thing, of course, that the book offers is a plot point campaign. It is based on the right after the original plot point campaign. So it builds upon it, has a similar kind of story arc in the sense of there's a similar problem that's being solved, and it builds upon that. Pinnacle in the book even says that you probably should play the original plot point campaign first. I think you get away with it. You share the lore, get the players understanding what happened, and now maybe they're a new team going after this new adventure. So brand new plot point, lots of stuff in there. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So what else do you get in the book? Well, there's new hindrances, which, for example, that are very much tied to the fact that you're out in the belt, and that's where you're playing. So, for example, there's one called Beltborn, which if you get onto a planet with high gravity, you have penalties because you were born in kind of this weightless environment. That's pretty cool. There's also new edges. Like, for example, there's one called Make It Work, which, since everything's in short supply out in the belt, there's nothing. This edge gives you an opportunity to fix a wound on your ship just by using whatever garbage is around to fix it up. So edges and hindrances are very aligned with this idea of being in space and in the belt. Another thing they add, which everybody loves when people do this, is a new arcane background called the Razorjack. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think some game masters might want to keep this a mysterious. It's another Hellstrom monstrosity that Hellstrom created, just like they did the mutes, and they turned out bad things happened there. But it has its own good things, its own flaws, stuff that makes it interesting. So I won't talk a lot about all the little details, again, because Game Master might want to hide that behind their own plot for characters to encounter. Or, sure, you can let the players take that. Why not? It's pretty cool. Always new, always neat to have a new arcane background. Another thing that I found, at least in this preview copy, did I mention it's a preview copy? So Pinnacle was nice enough to share this with me and give me this to look at. And so it's a preview. It's early. So things can change. They can add, they subtract. So, take what I'm saying with that spirit in mind. So when you're watching this, if it's 2 years, it's out already, and this may not be good information. So anyway, so we have a preview copy we looked at. One of the things that they added in is a thing called Common Knowledge, which is not unusual. A lot of settings have that. And that gives you information that the player can just digest. This is things that people know. I think you still need to curate it because it has some things, for example, how the pirates on a particular like their city or colony or whatever, how things operate and sort of the rules. Well, a normal miner might not know that. So you still might want to curate that before you hand all this information to the players. But it's nice to have something that's kind of compartmentalized, that is understood to be knowledge everybody has. So the players, they live in this world. They shouldn't have to try to discover everything from scratch, right? So let's get back to the plot point campaign real quick. It takes place mostly in space. It builds on the previous one. They added in some interesting things within the text. They clarify how chase rules would work with starships or spaceships. They add a thing called duels between ships, and so that adds like a matrix of cards for the chase and allows people to jockey for position to get the best firing solution or whatever, and so that's kind of neat. The expectation in the plot point is that characters will have a ship, and they include one in that kind of an old freighter, kind of patched up, barely running. I wonder how fast it can do the Kessel run. I don't know. You'd have to find out when you play the game. So, great book. Also has a new bestiary that has interesting, like humanoids you might run into. It has new creatures that you'll find out in the black. This does nice dovetail with the original Lost Colony, which had creatures that were in the black as well. So, very cool. Nice source book, at least a preview. Had a lot of good information for us folks who are fans of Lost Colony. I mean, how can you go wrong? A few new edges, a few new hindrances, a few new gear that is specific to the needs there. They even added in a EMP grenade. Cool. And they added in mines that you would use to affect ships. So new gear too. And then an arcane background that gives some more flavor that players might really enjoy. And then, of course, a plot point campaign and, Savage Tales, stuff like that. So it's going to be, I think, a good addition to people who love Deadlands Lost Colony. Well, anyway, I'm Carl, and this is Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff, and we appreciate your support. Talk to you later. Bye.
It's a savage world, strange as a wind war. It's a savage world, classics.